Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Living the Sweet Life. I'm your host, TJ Sweet, and on this podcast, we're going to help you go from where you are to where you want to be. No matter what area of your life, we're going to talk about some real stuff here that's going to help you overcome some barriers, overcome some adversity, and accomplish everything that's on your heart and your mind to accomplish. So before we dive too far into this week's episode, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you get notifications when these episodes come out every Monday. Remember, we call them Mindset Mondays so that we win the week by winning our Monday. So as we've kind of been talking about some different leadership topics, we're really going to talk about how to handle change with intention this week. We're going to, obviously, the one thing that we know that's always consistent, whether you like it or not, is change. So we have two choices. We can sit back and hope that things stay the same, or we can step forward and know that things aren't going to stay the same, but how we handle how things change is up to us. Now, I personally love change. I love the idea of it. I love how I can learn and grow. But I know that most people, a lot of people, prefer certainty. I mean, I love myself some good certainty too, but we have to embrace the fact that change is coming. So let's kind of dig into that and let's start to get ready to handle change without being so overwhelmed. Now, as leaders of our own lives, of teams, of businesses, of cultures, whatever it is, one of our greatest responsibilities is to guide our team and our people and our organizations through change. Whether it's adapting to new technology, shifting company culture, or even launching a new initiative, change is inevitable. But with change comes the risk of being overwhelmed for both the leader and the team. Good news is, change doesn't have to be overwhelming. If it's approached with this right intention, clear communication, and a step-by-step strategy. Let's take the fear out of change. But first, let's dive into why change feels overwhelming. Change feels overwhelming because it typically disrupts our certainty, our sense of stability, and for leaders, initiating change can bring a whole flood of new tasks and pressures and expectations. But at the same time, your team may feel anxious about the uncertainty of what the change means for them. Now, the key to driving change without overwhelming yourself or your team is to take this thoughtful approach. Change doesn't have to be a chaotic rush. It can be a steady, manageable process that creates lasting results. Even if the change comes quickly, we can work through it with a process. So in my years as a leader and a coach, I've seen firsthand how the right approach, the best approach to change, can make all the difference. Now, early in my career, I made the mistake of trying to implement too much change all at once. Remember, I told you I love change, but thinking that speed would lead to faster results. But what I learned was that rushed change leads to burnout, confusion, and often resistance to the change. Now, I've developed a more effective strategy to take it one step at a time, communicate clearly, and involve the team throughout the entire process. Let's dive into those things. So the first thing is the power of clear communication. It sounds simple, but it's probably something we need to get better with. One of the most critical elements of driving change is clear communication. When people feel informed and included in the process, they're less likely to feel overwhelmed and more likely to actually support the change. Now, as a leader, your job, our job, is to paint a clear picture of why the change is necessary and how it will actually benefit the team, the business, the organization, and be transparent about the goals and the timeline, and give your team the opportunity to ask questions and express concerns before you implement the change. When people understand the why behind the change, they're more likely to embrace it and actually own it. And the first thing you can do there is to explain the vision, clearly articulate the reason for the change and how it aligns with the organization and the team's goals. People need to understand the purpose behind the shift. And then the next thing is you have to set expectations. Let your team know what to expect, create certainty for them during the transition. Be upfront about potential challenges and then how those things will be addressed. You also have to do a very good job of creating space for feedback. Change is a two-way street. Encourage open dialogue and listen to your team's concerns. Often, the best ideas for managing change come from those who are directly affected by it. Not the people on the outside, it's the people on the inside. Now, what else we need to do is understand that gradual change is really the only sustainable change. Change doesn't have to happen all at once. In fact, the most successful and sustainable changes often happen gradually. And when you introduce change in small, manageable, non-threatening steps, it reduces the likelihood of being overwhelmed and allows everyone to really adjust at a steady pace while still moving forward. Here's how we can do some intentional things to implement gradual change. First, you have to have a clear plan. Break down that larger goal into a smaller goal in more manageable phases. This really allows you and your team to focus on one aspect of the change at a time without feeling buried underneath the weight of the entire change or the transformation that's required. And one thing you have to be doing through any change is celebrate small wins. As you implement each phase of a change, take time to really celebrate progress, movement, celebrate it. Recognize that small wins not only boost the morale, but also keeps momentum going. Each small success brings your team and the business one step closer to the actual larger goal that you've always been talking about. But throughout this process, you have to be flexible. While a plan is essential, it's important to remain flexible. Change often requires adjustments along the way. And being open to course corrections along the way will keep this process smooth and effective. Now, after you plan, you have to build a consensus. You have to talk about this and actually get people on board. Driving change isn't a solo mission. It's a team effort. Building consensus among your team members ensures that they feel invested in the process and are more likely to support the change. One of the most powerful tools you have as a leader is cultivating collaboration. Involve your team in the early parts of the change throughout the process by seeking their input and ideas. This not only helps you make better decisions, but also gives the team the sense of deeper ownership in the outcome. And when people feel like they have a stake in the change, they're more likely to get behind it, endorse it, and help it make sure that it's more successful. But one of the most important things is we have to empower our team. We have to give the team members opportunity to take ownership of certain aspects of the change. We have to let go of this sense of control. This decentralizes the responsibility and helps prevent this sense of overwhelming, parts that come along with change on your end. But we have to do that by fostering collaboration and encourage cross-departmental collaboration. When different parts of the organization work together, the change becomes a shared experience, and the teams are more likely to actually support each other through the transition. So now what do you do? If you're getting ready to implement a change or you're going through one, take the first small step. Change is daunting only when we try to take on too much at once. I encourage you to think about a change that you want to lead, whether it's in your organization or even in your personal life. What is something that you want to change but haven't done the steps yet? What's the first small step you can take today? Start there. Map out the first step, and before you know it, you will have made significant progress without feeling overwhelmed. Oftentimes, that first step is the hardest step, so start there. But if you're really motivated right now and you're ready to lead change with clarity and confidence, let's work together to create a change management plan that really empowers you and your team to move forward together with ease. Reach out to me for coaching or speaking engagements, and let's transform the way that you lead change once and for all. So I hope this episode has really kind of spoken to you, because almost every single person I talk to is talking about a change they want to be making, but they have to first accept the uncertainty of what is to come. Like I've talked about before, even just this idea of certainty, even if it's not what we want, will keep us from making the first step to change. So the choice is up to you. Like I said, you have to think about it in a way that change is something that you can be excited about and knowing that it's going to come and you can get better at it. Just like this quote of, I don't wish I had less problems. I just wish I got better at handling more problems. You can change your perspective and your mindset on change anytime it means enough for you to do that. So I hope this episode really inspired you. And I'll always remind you, like I do with every episode. Again, this is something that's really important to think about on a routine basis, that you always have the power and the choice to reshape your mindset, live with intention, and look at the world through a grateful lens. Until the next episode, never stop.